In studio right now with Molly Ringwald. This is great. Very excited to have you here. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome. Getting the Pretty Back is your book. Why? Why did you write that? Was it inspired by friends? Did you lose the pretty?
Well, actually, the title came from when I was pregnant with my first daughter, Matilda, and I had a friend that said, "Oh, you better hope she's not a girl because she'll suck the pretty out of you." And I sort of laughed a little bit. And then when she was born, if you've ever, you've gone through childbirth with your wife, it's really hard, and you really do feel like you lose the pretty for a while, that it all goes to your child. And so my book is kind of about getting back to that sort of lightness that you feel before kids, before marriage, before, career, everything.
Well, your friend said this when you were having Matilda, and who's 7 now. Now you have the twins who are 21 months old.
Yes.
How do you, that's taking the pretty. Well, I would think they would double up on what Matilda did, right?
Yes. I've never had an easy time in pregnancy. Never. It's, there's some
miserable
women.
Every time out?
Miserable every single time. But I have 3 beautiful kids to show for it, so it's okay.
No pain, no gain.
That's right.
That's so amazing. So did you get to a point where you felt bad about you and...
Well, I think turning 40 years old, and it's such a major moment and men too. I think men sort of go through this sort of anxiety as well. Anyway, it was really a moment where I thought I really have to take control of my life, and whatever I want to do in my life, I have to do myself. It's not just going to happen to me.
Yeah, a lot of people kick in, like 40's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is where we're beginning. We're actually smarter now.
Yeah, so getting the pretty back is really a lot of hopefulness and possibility that you have when you're younger, specifically when you're a little girl. I'm always talking about, what it was that you wanted to be when you grew up. Because I think we lose track of a lot of that as time goes on. And then sort of marrying it with the experience that comes with age, and sort of having the best of both worlds and kind of, balancing that out.
It's fun. It's very you flip through it. It's like it's very whimsical and you have sketches, and it's almost like a little girl helped you do it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
compliment.
It's illustrated by a brilliant man named Ruben Toledo. And I've always loved his art. And when I had the idea to write the book, I really wanted it to be illustrated by him. And in my book proposals, I said Ruben Toledo-esque illustrations. And then in the end, I thought, maybe I should just go to Ruben Toledo and find out if, and it's sort of like if you ever think of who's going to do the soundtrack to your life, if you could pick the perfect person, he's sort of like my perfect illustrator. If I could have anyone illustrate my life, he would be it. So I felt really lucky.
And how old is your husband?
My husband is 35.
He's 35. You're 43. You're 8 years older than he is?
7.
I love it. All right. Best and worst thing about being married to a younger man?
I don't really think that there's anything bad about it. I mean, I was really the one that had a lot of issues early on, because I'd never dated anyone that was younger than me. I had always dated older men. So it was really the first time. And, I was the one that kept making comments all the time, like, oh, well, you probably don't remember this. You probably don't remember Devo, but they were really big in the 80s, and finally, after 2 years, he said, can we lose the age jokes, really? They're getting old. And now I don't even think about it.
That's he kind of looks a little bit like Michael Schaffling, people are saying.
A little bit. That thing that was going around Facebook for a while where you were supposed to have a picture of your doppelganger, the person that, everyone always mistakes you for? His was Michael Schaffling.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So he's got, and you're totally over any sort of, like what women, I'm older than my wife, but, my father is younger than my mom, and she would always be like, well, when I'm 80, you're not gonna like me, all that. You guys are past all that.
Yeah. Well, women live longer than men, so it really makes sense. It really makes a lot more sense to date, younger men.
And is he as mature and emotionally there as you are?
I think he is,
Always?
Well, yeah, he is, actually. I think, I think we're a really good pair. I mean, it is true that life is I believe that life is lived in 7-year cycles, and I'm in a different phase. I'm always in a different phase than he is, just because I have 7 more years of life experience. But he's really smart.
How did he hit on you? How did it first happen?
We actually met through a mutual friend on email. She's a writer, and she had this group called Quip Pro Quo, where different writers and editors and generally bookish people would put a quote from whatever they were reading, or a piece of poetry, or something overheard, and he contributed something by a writer named John Cheever, and I wrote to him and I said, "Oh, thanks for contributing that. I'm going to read John Cheever now," because I never had, and then he wrote to me, and then we wrote back and forth to each other for about 6 months.
An intellectual connection over email.
And he was very different than I didn't know he was 25 years old. Based on his writing, he was editing it at a publishing house in New York at the time, and I really had this vision of this sort of older, intellectual, bushy eyebrows,
professorial looking
Yeah.
old dude like you have been dating before.
Yeah, exactly.
And out comes this 25-year-old stud muffin.
Yeah.
He's the stud. The guy is
Yeah.
fit as a fiddle. He's like, he looked like a Navy SEAL.
He's going to be so flattered to hear you
Yeah.
say that, because he doesn't really get to work out very much now with 3 kids and a full-time
Maybe
job.
that's the workout.
Yeah, no, he has good genes. He's Greek.
And some of the names of your twins, I love this. Adele Georgiana Ringwald Giannopoulos
Yes?
and Stylianos.
Yeah, Roman Stylianos is our
Roman
son.
Stylianos Ringwald Giannopoulos.
That's right.
That's a big name.
Yes.
It's a lot to live up to with that name.
I know. Well, as if Giannopoulos wasn't long enough, I had to stick Ringwald in there too. But it always seems odd to me. I mean, I know that there's a reason why we have to use the men's name, but when you carry a child for 9 months and it comes time to fill out that birth certificate, I thought, how can I not put my name down there?
Yeah.
And he was totally cool with it. It was fine. And then I figured they can just
did
use
most
whatever
of
name.
the work. In
Right?
fact, really all of it.
All of it, yeah. Your part wasn't so hard.
Your part is really easy and really fun. Let's be honest about that. Looking, just a couple of questions here. Do you ever stay in touch with anybody from The Breakfast Club? My favorite of all the movies.
I do. Actually, Anthony Michael Hall was the first person that I called after I found out that John Hughes had passed away. And he lives in Los Angeles, and we don't get to see each other as much as I'd like to, because we both have I have 3 kids. Let's face it. But I see him from time to time, and then usually it's some John Hughes homage. We all saw each other at the Oscars a couple years ago, and and it's always great to see them and catch up.
How hard was his death for you? You were truly his muse.
It was awful. I mean, I just feel like I felt terrible for his family. I hadn't seen John in a really long time. He'd sort of become a recluse in Chicago, and from what I understand, was planting a lot of trees and, kind of stepped away from the business somewhat. But, he was way too young. He was way too young to pass away when he did, and I think it was just very, very hard for his family.
Did you ever get down to the why you? Why did he settle on you as this woman I have to make movies with?
I don't know, really. I think there was something in my face that he liked from, they gave him this headshot, and he was casting Breakfast Club locally in Chicago. And then he wrote 16 Candles, I think, over July 4th headshot there. And I think my face was the sort of inspiration for this girl. And so then I did 16 Candles, and we got along great. And then he offered me Breakfast Club, and he offered Anthony Michael Hall Breakfast Club at the end of 16 Candles. And we just worked really well together. What
a fascinating thing. I mean, but you had this conversation with him before he passed to know why because it was just the look, or I don't know, something just he felt, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was just something in my face. We also happened to be born, I mean, if you're going to be, hippy-dippy about it.
Yeah.
We were both born on February 18th, 18 years apart. So I don't know, maybe there was something that was, there was a reason for it.
It's in the stars. It's
yeah.
Just maybe
yeah.
The sign. What is February 18th? What is that sign?
Aquarius.
That is it. That's it.
and
Aquarius.
I'm also one of the only signs that didn't change.
Well, see, there you go. This is
I'm an Aquarian through and through.
All the way through. Never give up. What about like Emilio or Judd? You ever see those guys? Judd
I never
Nelson?
see Emilio. No, he doesn't really do anything having to do with those movies. He's kind of, he has a pretty great directing career, and I think I read something that he was planting grapes or something. He has his own vineyard in Malibu. But no, he's actually the only one that I haven't seen in years.
Emilio. Mm-hmm. He is the brother of the Vatican assassin warlock. That is, that's full time.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen auditioned for the role in Pretty in Pink.
Yes.
What would have happened if he got that? What did you think
I would have
about
been
it at the time?
very happy. Yeah. I thought he was gorgeous. He had just moved from Denmark. Actually, I think he was about 18 or 19 years old, and I was 15. He actually kissed me in the audition, and I thought I was going to die. I really, really
Did you run to John
him.
Hughes and say, please, please?
Yes, and I was voted down. But I actually did a movie years later with Viggo, and we talked about it. He played my husband in a movie called Fresh Horses, and he said, what do you think? Why didn't I get this part? And I said, I think it's because you kissed me in the audition.
Oh, he wasn't supposed to. He just went for it.
He went for it. John Hughes was very protective. No, I mean, I don't.
John Hughes loved you so much.
Yeah, but
This
I don't
is
really.
my Molly.
I don't really think that that's the reason. But I think Michael Schoeffling was really
Well, the right thing
the
happened.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and could you have imagined as Ducky, Robert Downey Jr., because he almost got the role?
It would have been a different part. Originally in the script, I was supposed to end up with Ducky. And I think that Robert and I had a different it would have been a different movie, definitely. The movie that it was, like when we shot that ending where Andy ends up with Ducky, it just didn't make any sense at all because they were just so clearly friends. And my character so clearly thought of Ducky as her, I mean, to be honest, he kind of seems like her gay best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true.
I mean, John Cryer's not gay, but in that movie, he's like
the
her
GBF,
GFF.
Yeah.
The
GBF. The gay best friend.
Yeah.
And are you amazed, though, looking about Robert Downey Jr.? But what a great transition he made from all these quirky little roles, because he was total quirkster
To
in
being
a day.
like a hot stud muffin.
Stud leading man,
I
Sherlock
know.
Holmes, Iron Man.
I know. He's amazing.
Talk about it. I just love, and a lot of people, in the business, they go off the rails and get into real trouble. And he
really came
nobody
back.
more spectacularally than him, but he pulled himself back up. He's a great story.
It's great. And he deserves it. I mean, he is really, really talented. We did Pickup Artists together. And I just, his mind is just so sharp and his sense of humor is so sharp. And, and he's a really nice guy. So, I mean, I really love to see great success of nice people.
His true Hollywood story will last a week.
Yes.
It's just like,
Exactly.
There's no way you do one episode there. So Getting the Pretty Back, your book is out right now?
Yeah, it
Ladies,
came out
come
a year
on.
ago, and it just came out in paperback on the 26th.
Let's go. Paperback. Pop it in your beach bag.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed having you here.